Welcome back to my channel. I got kind of in a reading slump after reading The Remnant Chronicles, and I thought about sharing with you some of my tips on how to get out of a reading slump and also how to read more. If you are on the lookout for reading more this year, then I think you would find this video helpful. I love that I've been able to read so much this last couple of years, and people always ask me, how are you able to read so much? How do you have the time? I want to read more, but I just can't seem to find the time to do it, or I'm not in the mood to do it. How do I get out of that funk? So that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to be giving you my tips and tricks on how I get out of a reading slump and how I make time for reading. If this is the type of content you're interested in, if you like me, if you like books, and if you like reading more and goals, then go ahead and hit that like button down below and don't forget to subscribe. And without further ado, let's jump into the video. Tip number one, which I feel is pretty obvious, but you're gonna wanna set a reading goal, which is basically just a generic goal to help you to read more. Whether it's you wanting to read a certain number of books in the month or the year or a certain genre, it can help you stay on track because you have that goal in the back of your head, just reminding you constantly, hey, I need to get to X amount of books by this time. For me personally, I'm trying to read 100 books this year, so I'm currently on track, but as long as I can read 8 to 10 books every month, I think I'll be able to get there. So, and some months are more than others, and that's okay. I try to give myself leeway and grace when, the time arises for less reading to be done. I know that maybe the following month I can have more time to get more reading done. So it's really not that big of a deal if I'm not able to read so much, because I know I can make up for the time lost. Tip number two, which I think is a cool one, is to try out a new genre. So if you're in a reading slump and you just are not in the mood for reading, it probably is because you wore yourself out from reading so much of a certain genre. For me, it's fantasy. If I read too much fantasy, it's really hard for me to be in the mood for reading another book. And I find that if I just switch gears and do the complete opposite of that genre, it will kind of spark the interest back for me. So I like getting into suspense books, mystery novels. Those really help me get out of a funk if I'm just not feeling reading, because they're so fast-paced, high energy, page turners, quick reads. Yeah, so I would suggest pick out a genre that is a change of pace from what you're typically into reading, that can help, reignite that spark, that love for reading books. And if you are not a current reader and you are trying to read more, then just grab a book from each genre of something that may interest you. So get a sci-fi, get a mystery, get a romance, get a lit fic, get a nonfiction, and just try them out, see what you think. Another idea you could do, tip number three, is joining a book club. Joining a book club could give you a sense of community, can help you stay accountable for your reading goals. You can share your thoughts on books as you read them, and it can also give you recommendations. You can share your thoughts on your current read, talk about future reads, and also it's a great way to meet new people that are interested in similar books as you. I remember during lockdown when we were all stuck at home, I did a family book club and we had a great time. We were able to get through a few books together and meet once a week online and just talk about them. We had like specific reading goals to get through every week, and then we just discussed them with each other. We didn't have a lot of rules to keep it really strict. We just kind of were like, all right, read as much as you can. If you can get to this chapter, great. And then we will talk about it, reconvene at the end of the week, and share our thoughts on what we read. So it was really fun. We got to catch up, hang out, talk, and then also talk about the books. So if you're trying to keep more accountable on reading more, then that could be a good option for you. Number four is create a reading routine. Now, this is a great way to prioritize reading in your daily life. So if your lifestyle does not include reading whatsoever, this is going to be a great step for you, but also probably one of the more difficult steps. And I get asked this question a lot: how do I make time for reading? How do I make it a priority? What I would suggest is to set aside a certain time for reading every day or every week in a specific place. So I would create a cute little section of my home where I love to read. So I have a couple of reading spots in my house. I have this chair, I have a specific spot on the couch that's super cozy, and sometimes even my bed if it's like late at night. But I make that area really, really warm and inviting and welcoming, so I can snuggle up with a book, have a cup of coffee, or light a candle, and it sets the mood, has the nice ambiance around it, and it makes me want to read and not stop ever. So I would suggest just find a time in your day, whether it's on your lunch break, if it's at home after a long day of work, instead of turning on the TV, just substitute that time for reading and make a habit to do that consistently. Eventually, it won't really seem like you're doing it out of necessity, but because you want to. Tip number 5 is to take breaks. So I know for me, because I read so much, sometimes I just get overwhelmed and I need to take a break. I cannot read one more book. I need to step away from the bookshelf and just clear my head. I will either do a puzzle, I'll watch a movie with my husband, I will spend more time, going on walks or listening to a podcast, watching YouTube videos of fellow booktubers. It gives me the time that I need for my brain to just reset, refresh, and then refocus so that I'm more excited later on to read more books, because sometimes I can overdo it, and maybe for you guys, you overdo it as well. So don't feel bad if you're in a reading slump. If you find yourself in one, just embrace the break and be excited for the time when you will feel ready to start reading again. Which brings me to tip number 6, don't force it. Reading should be enjoyable, it should be a hobby, it should be a pastime, it should be something that makes you feel relaxed and happy, because that's what books are all about. They're supposed to be thought-provoking and enjoyable and emotional and transportive and all of the amazing adjectives that I can't think of at the top of my head, but you get what I mean. It's not supposed to be a chore. It's not supposed to be a job. It's not supposed to be a competition with other readers. Everyone reads at their own pace, with their own style, and you shouldn't feel guilty about taking a break from reading or putting down a book to read something else. So if you feel like you don't want to finish a book, if you want to DNF it, you can do that. If you want to take a couple of weeks away from reading, you can do that. If you want to stop a series halfway and start a different genre or a different series, you can do that. Just do something that makes you feel happy. At the end of the day, that's what reading is about. It's supposed to make you feel good. But there you have it. Those are the tips that I have for getting out of a reading slump and for reading more. I encourage you to look for a book, do some research, and find a book that piques your interest right now. If it's from a different genre, maybe try that out. Maybe give yourself a few options as well. I also think that doing those you have like numbers for a bunch of different books, and then you pick a number out of the jar and you correlate it to that book, could make it kind of like a fun game as well. I did that with some of my TBR books that I haven't read on my shelf, and it's been very fun and exciting to do that. So I look forward to doing that as well. But anyway, I hope you found this video helpful, and I am looking forward to starting a new genre for myself. So stay tuned for a fun little reading vlog. Yeah. That's gonna be it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you in my next video.